Hey folks, I'm Alan Miller, joined today with Eric Lannert, the Chief Architect for Cloudbakers and Qwinix. Eric, how you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks, Alan.
Awesome, thanks for joining me. So at Cloudbakers and Qwinix, for the folks at home, we are a Google Cloud Premier partner and merged to form the largest Google-focused systems integrator in the ecosystem. And today we're going to talk a little bit about cloud governance. What do you think, Eric? You ready to go?
Let's do it.
Perfect. So I know we've recently had the benefit of working with some really forward-thinking clients on governance. And one of the main takeaways for me is that they've been able to recognize the combination of cloud and then infrastructure as code that we're enabling to solve for some of these long-standing dilemmas. And in particular, really, there's a dichotomy between the need for control versus speed, and that goes across both service and change management, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and my favorite thing in the world is a simple 2x2 matrix, and that's what we're going to share today with y'all. These are problems that we've been trying to address for quite a long time, and as Al mentioned, Google and infrastructure as code and CICD, these modern technologies are enable us to solve them at scale.
Gotcha. And what are clients thinking about how to balance these service catalogs versus innovation? And especially in regulated industries, I mean, one that comes top of mind to me, of course, is healthcare. What are these clients thinking about?
Yeah, so the thinking here has evolved from a vending machine to the IT team locks down cloud and only gives you the ability to run these particular things that may or may not be well thought through. This client in healthcare is actually thinking about it from the end goal, which is FDA approval of patterns that allow their product teams to do medical devices connected through the cloud to machine learning and back to the medical device. So that pipeline itself and that pattern is pre-FDA approved. They're thinking about acceleration of time to market for their product teams, and they're using infrastructure as code as the means to get FDA to approve. This is our approach to deploying infrastructure.
And so some companies are moving away from having the change request to approval processes that live solely within that ITSM system. And instead, they are looking to take advantage of that CICD Git workflows. Is that something that scales?
Yeah, this is brilliant. So the whole problem here is you want to do work where work is done. Infrastructure as code now is going through an approval process that lives within Git. People are looking at the code, they're approving it, and that trigger of approval is what's moving it into production. It's at that moment, and that particular approval is what you want to record back in your ITSM. So the key is, how do you do that in a way where it doesn't require you, the company, to write a custom script? And that's where companies like ours, and particularly Qwinix, has been focusing on productizing that particular systems integration to make sure that GitHops and the integrations that it needs to have into other business processes, particularly security and change management, are captured.
Right, and that seems like that ties into one of the core Google principles, which is really just automate everything. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
So is that something, I mean, when you're describing that, it feels like you're saying that's an alternative to humans in production. Is that a statement you feel confident in?
Yeah, nobody wants to be woken up at 2 a.m. to have to log into the server and SSH and to do some work. Like Google has established this framework. They have a group called SRE, or Site Reliability Engineering, that really takes that developer first mindset of solving these longstanding process and engineering problems related to managing your environments. Setting up dev stage and prod environments used to take weeks or months. Now, because of these really fast, easy tools, we can do it many times per day. My engineering team focused on edge computing today stood up their dev stage and prod environments or future prod environments 7 times, all the way up and all the way down and all the way up and all the way down. Like, it is all automated now. And that did not take weeks. It took a matter of a day or 2 to build.
That's wild. And you said 7 times this morning. That's just to make sure I heard you.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So let's pivot back to the control and service management. So what are the clients doing when they're looking to enforce the standards and policies, some of which we're talking about now? Like, what does that enforcement look like?
Yeah, so 2 parts to this. Number one is making sure that as things are going live, they are compliant, right? We've always wanted to do that. Well, by doing what we talked about earlier, where the approval process is captured in the CI/CD pipeline, you can do 2 things. You can drive and make sure that cost allocation is done right, so things are properly labeled. And we can leverage a tool through a partner we have with called Ternary. It's an API first company, so we can build really deep, integrations with their revenue system and their cost system now with Google Cloud, and give them a profitability per customer view. This is nirvana for every digital native since the beginning of cloud, is being able to tie those two systems together. Second, security team is now in the lead in terms of looking at and making sure that policies aren't just documents, they're actually encoded in process. And HashiCorp Sentinel is the product that this one customer is using, where she's actually taken all of her security team's policies, coding standards, secrets management, zero trust external access management, all of that, and baked it into the CICD process so that nothing is getting into production that hasn't been and isn't compliant with both the finance team and the security team.
So the two products I heard there is one, the HashiCorp Sentinel, and then the other was Ternary. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Perfect. And it sounds like what you're describing there is just that you're really helping these digital natives get a better handle on the cost to serve their customers, which I know is something that every business strives to do. But and at least in the cloud consumption side, I mean, there's a lot of different factors, right? There could be something like regionality, where you're pulling the data from, where that data center is, amongst quite a few other factors. Is that sort of a fair summary there?
Yeah, exactly. The customer I mentioned before, that digital native, they're tracking servers that are getting attached to one customer for an hour and then another customer an hour later. And being able to make that labeling change in their system is one thing. Having Google's data support that from a cost output standpoint is what's enabling the capability.
Well, Eric, thanks for the information and thanks for the time. And we'll catch up later.
Awesome.